us and the collaboration that we're going to have going forward.
No better way to communicate to your audience.
How do we grow strategically now that we've gotten the right path forward? Bam, and we're back on day 4 of Building a Business by Referrals, daily prospecting, 2 daily referrals, sorry. Todd, Schroth here, Agents Who Win. I appreciate everybody tuning in with my team member, Tommy Sandvik with 7L. Tommy, let's take it away. How do we build business by referrals instead of picking up the phone, smiling and dialing?
Yeah, smiling, dialing. Dialing dawn, as they say in the book. So we did, I want to recap real quick. So we did day 1 is all about sending handwritten notes, or what we call power notes. That stirs the database and gets people to, contact you, so that it's actually easier to go to the next metric, which is phone calls. Now, in our phone calls, I'm calling to help, I'm calling to be a professional resource, I'm calling to invite you to something. It's not calling to ask for referrals, it's not calling to ask for business, but it can happen in the process of that. And then yesterday we talked about one-to-one. So as you're doing that with your existing database, it's important to simultaneously go out into the market and be meeting new people, networking and forming connections, and ultimately meeting with people one-on-one to be able to build that relationship quicker. Most effective way is to be one-on-one with people. So today is all about really ultimately the result of all of that, which is referrals. So it's two core metrics, right? Number 1 is how many referrals have I given, and then obviously how many have I received. So the referrals given metric comes through asking people how you can help, through having conversations with people. Yesterday we did a perfect demo, right? I would count that as a referral that I'm connecting you to my executive assistant. So that's a referral outbound. So the core concept is is to have a referral goal, and have a referral goal instead of a prospecting goal or a dialing goal or talking. It's just referrals. How many referrals am I giving, and how many do I want to receive? And typically the referrals received goal should be, or let me say that again. The referrals given goal should be double the amount you want to receive. So you have to start with looking at setting I want X number of transactions per month. Then how many referrals do I typically need to get in order to get one core, in order to get one transaction? So that's something when you're getting started, you may not know, but it's something you have to track so that you start to figure out what the numbers really are. Because you may get a referral, but it might be for someone that's just starting to consider buying, and so they're 3, 4, 5 months off potentially. Likewise with selling. So important to understand that ultimately how many referrals do I need to get to hit the transaction goal that I have, and then whatever that number is, double it, and that's how many you should aim to give ultimately. So that's the core, that's the metrics.
You think about it because, as I say, when people join our team or get in the business, you're going to start making your calls today or start turning on your lead funnels or start asking for referrals. And most people are not ready to walk in your office and buy today or call you and say, hey, I'm ready to buy a house today. Yeah. And unless you'll have that opportunity where there's the house at 123 Elm Street, they love it, they want to buy it, and they just all of a sudden, they knew you got your license. So day 1, cool, you got a closing 30 to 45 days later. But it takes 30 to 45 days to build up the momentum, the lunches, the phone calls, connecting with your top 50, etc., getting that name, and then going through the pre-qualification process, showing them houses for 30 days, getting the contract, then going to closing, 30 to 45 days later. So I say a 90-day run before you start to see your first check.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The fun part is this 90-day run actually feels good. It's helping people. And you can actually be consistent with it because it's it doesn't, you don't have to become someone you're not in the process.
Right.
If you don't want to, right? Some people, it's all good. The other methods, it works for them, but there's certainly a segment, I'd argue a large segment of people out there that really don't want to do it and just don't realize there's an alternate way. So that's the core, fill up the pipeline. If you're consistent with these core activities, as I said, people read the book and they're like, now what? And what do I focus on? And it's like, just track these metrics. I actually, funny story. So I've been putting together a coaching sheet for our clients to create something that they can track that activity, and then simultaneously, and then every week also review, like kind of a what went wrong, what went right, what can I do better type of thing. And I came across some old, from my very first coaching program, I came across my first, some of my sheets that I had when I was in another coaching program. And I have literally the metrics on here, 8 1-to-1s, 50 power notes as my declaration for, this was the third week of September of 2018. So that was kind of fun, that like it goes all the way back to, these are the core metrics to pay attention to. And you can replace the door knocking with doing these metrics. And that's the thing, right? Is any method of business development, there's a ramp up time, no matter what it is. You don't just make one cold call and get the deal. It's likewise with walking the community. It's a process to stay in touch and warm that up. It's the same thing. Ultimately, it's going to take a bit of time. But when you focus on the right strategies, it does not have to take a long time, meaning it doesn't have to be any longer than the other methods.
Right. Well, and those are people who are going to know, like, and trust you, where I don't need to, the average internet conversion is 1 to 3%.
Yeah.
Well, what's the average referral conversion? I haven't tracked that, but probably 50 to 75.
Yeah.
And so, I got to buy 100 leads, and let's, example, Zillow, every call we get through Zillow costs $200. So if I get 20 Zillow leads in and I can't convert nothing, that's $4,000 or $6,000 out the door. I know people I couldn't convert. A referral, the cost of that is a relationship, but it's also free. And those people know, like, and trust you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that really is the thing, is the like, know, and trust factor. Quite frankly, it's not that there aren't going to be questions, right? But are there straight up objections? No, not really. Not massive. You don't have to put a ton of time into learning to overcome an objection. Do you have to, when it's like, when they come to you, wow, what was I thinking? There was another metric with referrals. It's very different. It's the not as much objection. Oh, I'd be willing to bet, and they're probably not, if they already like, know, and trust you, and they're doing business with you because of that. They're not looking to cut your commission. I always see the posts about this person. How do I justify my commission? And I'm like, if you're working on referrals, you really shouldn't have to, especially if it's someone in your immediate sphere. You hopefully shouldn't have to justify that to people. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I would say it probably happens less than the other methods. So you don't have to prove yourself from that perspective nearly as much either, which is nice. And they're just a lot more fun to work with. At the end of the day, especially when you have people that give the referral, who know you really well and know what you stand for and know your values and how you do business. They know when they find the right connection for you. They know how to make sure that you're going to be aligned in how you interact with people. So, so that's the core of the metrics, right? It's referrals given, referrals received, and then it drills down into, notes, calls, and one-to-one meetings.
So that's kind of what the thing you sent me: the calls, the one-on-ones, events attended, event invitations, referrals given. And you can check them off, and then something that might trip me up this week. The best way to buy this is a cool sheet you posted. Be cool to create. It is. No, it's a nice idea. So I love it.
Yeah, so, exactly. Focus on the right metrics, and the referrals come.
What do we have for tomorrow? We're wrapping up at 11 at our normal show time. What do we have for the final for the guests of this five-day new agent? I mean, any agent success formula, but we're focusing on the new agents in September. What is like our big thing we have focusing on tomorrow?
Tomorrow we will focus more on habits and rituals that help you to be consistent, because we can tell you what to do. We can give the metrics, right? So it's gonna be a little bit more coaching focused tomorrow.
Perfect.
And we'll talk about maybe we could talk about the 4 enriching rituals and why each one of them is so important to executing these core metrics, basically. So I think we can do that.
So it's funny. We did an open house class with Jeff today in the office, and I'm always the nuts and bolts. Like, hey, just show me how to do the open houses. Don't and what you do during them. He spent his first part of the conversation about mindset and other stuff, and it's like you do have to be in the right mindset and have to get yourself there to show up at the job right or the open house correctly. And he goes, I was talking to him after, and he's like, you can't go to an open house on a Saturday and have the right energy if you're not going there with the right mindset. You're not going to show up, and the people are going to realize that. And you're spending 3 hours of your Saturday there, and they're going to be like, "Why am I here? Why is this guy here? He doesn't want to be here, so I don't want to work with him, to buy a house." So when I was, in your program we did before, you spent some time working on mindset, and I'm just like, "Can you tell me what to do?" But I totally understand, you have to learn in the mindset to be in the right frame of mind to be able to win over the personality of the people to keep going forward.
Yeah, and it even comes down to sometimes it's external factors. Like you're on your way to a showing, and then your spouse texts you something that triggers you, that's upsetting or whatever. How do you handle that in the moment to reset yourself because you're upset about something even completely unrelated to what you're doing professionally, but that energy does carry over, and having the tools to be able to handle that is really, really, really important so that you, like you say, you show up with the right way of being, so to speak, at the open house. Because if you're just or at the showing, it's like if you're just there and kind of just have that no one's gonna buy or no one's whatever attitude, it's gonna come across and it's gonna hurt the results. So that's definitely a big part of it. So that's what the rituals are really all designed to keep that on track as much as possible, so that it's you have the consistency and understand how to handle those things that come up in life that throws us off. It's the spouse gets the flat tire, the car gets hit, the kid has to be picked up from school because there's all those little things that can throw you off.
Yep, no, exactly. Now the spouse would never text you something mean. They're always going to be in a positive frame of mind.
Always.
It's the buyer, it's the client who texts you the nasty message about or just something stupid that you're working on. And all of a sudden you've got to go back and work on the same thing that's minuscule, and you're complaining about that buyer while you're at that appointment. And what do? They see you complaining about the buyer. So what are they going to do? Go find a realtor who's not going to complain about them.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. There's that side too. So very good, man.
Good back and forth.
Mindset.
Perfect, man. We will see you at 11.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great one.
Bye.